Hey everyone, what's going on? So recently, the major stories in the mainstream media are all about these mail package pipe bombs that Obama and George Soros and the Clintons and so on, they all got, all of Donald Trump's political enemies, and they're sort of blaming it on Donald Trump's rhetoric and whatnot. And Donald Trump is just all part of the show as well. He's friends with these people. It's all just this big game, and they're trying to divide people. It's really, really obvious. He won the rigged selection in 2016. But what's interesting is just the other night I made this video all about this number 86 and all of these things that have been going on and how it's connected back to this pink symbolism that I have been following. And if you're new to the channel, what I talk about is signs and symbolism and patterns that exist within this world. Our mainstream media is controlled by people who understand ancient knowledge, and they use this knowledge and they code letters into, code words and phrases and letters into things, and our media is scripted this way every single day, along with our sports leagues and so on. And anyway, I made this video about the 86 connections and how it's connected to the World Series and many, many other things. And within this video, I even mentioned the Austin Bomber. Remember the Austin Bomber back in March? And a big deal with him was that he was caught because he was wearing pink gloves. And I made a series of videos on the Austin Bomber and how he was connected to Stone Cold Steve Austin. And all of this was just before WrestleMania 34. And there was many, many things that were involved with this. Ronda Rousey coming to wrestling during the Royal Rumble. And we also had the greatest Royal Rumble that just so happened to be in Saudi Arabia. And I'll explain why that's important in a little bit. But a big deal with the pink symbolism was clear back in December 8th. I watched the movie The Number 23 with Jim Carrey. Here's a playlist I'll leave in the description. And a big thing in that movie is he does the gematria of the color pink. And later on, the character's fingerling. And anyway, I had this synchronicity while watching one of Zachary K. Hubbard's videos. He was talking about Alex Jones. And I went and peed and I came back and I told my cat he could jump in my lap. And I said, there you go. And right as I said, there you go, the video of Alex Jones said, there you go. And later on in the mix, I found out that the Pink, the singer, her name is, or her first single was called There You Go. And at the time, everything was connected to the national anthem. So I came to the conclusion I thought maybe Pink would sing the national anthem at the Super Bowl. And then a little over a month later, we got Pink singing the national anthem at the Super Bowl. They announced it. And what I talked about in the last video was on August 6th this year, I had all of this synchronicity connecting back to the same thing. I got all of this stuff that was connected to Pink. Pink was in the mainstream media again on this day. And this was the same day that Alex Jones supposedly got kicked off of all the social media, right? Twitter and YouTube and whatnot. August 6th. And this is an important day to conspiracy theory. It's the 218th day of the year. And if you write out conspiracy theory, just so happens to equal 218 in Gematria. And, the word conspiracy equals 147, and that's the day that leaves 147 days in the year. And many, many other things. Alex Jones is absolutely coded by the numbers. I'll just retype that up there. Alex Jones, 48, InfoWars, 48, also 42. Alex Jones with the S exception equals 42. Supposedly born on the 42nd day of the year and much, much more, But the moral of the story, August 6th, the 218th day of the year, conspiracy theory equals 218. In history, if you look up the term conspiracy theory, it got negative connotations by this guy named Richard Hofstadter. Let's point it out really quick. Richard Hofstadter. I think that's how you spell it. If you look this guy up, he's the one who put the negative connotations on the term conspiracy theory. And notice his birthday, August 6th, and look at the day he died. October 24th, the same day we got all of these stories about Obama, right, and the bomb stuff. August 6th to this day just so happens to be 2 months and 18 days. The word conspiracy equals 218. It's 2 months and 18 days after the 218th day of the year. Notice what pipe bomb is in Gematria. Pipe bomb, 218. Now, if you go back to the Austin bomber, he supposedly died on the date of 3/21 this year. And if you go from 3/21 to the day we got this story about the bombs, it's 218 days. So absolutely, these two stories are synced up to what I was talking about in this previous video with the number 86 and whatnot. And there was a whole bunch of other stuff I talked about on that day. Talked about the movie Pretty in Pink, and that movie was written by John Hughes, whose birthday was February 18th, 218, and then he died on August 6th, 86. And also Molly Ringwald, who is the star of that movie, was also born on February 18th, 218. So, lots of stuff that is important to it. Also, the whole reason that I even started talking about all of that was because just before we got that duck boat drowning, I talked about how it was connected to Goldberg the goalie from the movie The Mighty Ducks. And then the very next day, we got a drowning of the duck boat. And then on August 6th, we got that story about Goldberg the goalie being a crackhead and getting arrested for a public intox. And when you look up Goldberg the goalie, the last movie that he was in, he was a bus driver in the movie called Drill Bit Taylor. That's all about the guy getting his pinky finger chopped off. But Drill Bit Taylor was also a John Hughes movie. And John Hughes, that was also his last movie, I think, before he died or something like that. So it was super important to Goldberg. Think about Goldberg in regards to wrestling, right? Goldberg, a similar character to Stone Cold Steve Austin and whatnot. Goldberg's the guy who defeated the NWO, super duper synced up to the New World Order. His wrestling debut was on the 174th day of the year. Look at New World Order equals. New World Order, 174. Hollywood Hogan, the leader of the New World Order, 174. Goldberg makes his debut on the 174th day of the year. Then he defeats the NWO 174 days before his birthday. And when he finally, 174 days before his birthday, then 174 days later on his birthday, he gets his streak broke, and he had a streak of 173-0, which is important because that means that was his 174th fight of the streak. So he loses to the New World Order on his 174th fight, debuts on the 174th day of the year. New World Order 174, Hollywood Hogan 174. And the reason that's significant is because all of this stuff stems back to the Royal Rumble. And if you remember, this year we had the first ever women's Royal Rumble that was won by the Japanese girl. And that was the first time that Ronda Rousey made her appearance at the Royal Rumble, coming out in Roddy Piper stuff that I talked about since 2015, how she was synced up to the death of Roddy Piper. But Asuka, it's spelled Asuka or something like that, she was the one who won the Women's Royal Rumble, the Japanese lady. And she just so happened to be the person who broke Goldberg's streak for longest days being undefeated in the WWE or whatever. So it's definitely synced up to Goldberg. Also, the Austin Bomber, Stone Cold Steve Austin. You had Undertaker, who had that streak in 2000, whatever. He lost to Brock Lesnar. And then in 2016, they synced up the Cleveland Cavaliers to that. That's why LeBron James wore the Undertaker shirt on the date of 6/12. He wore the shirt, and then they came back and, they upset the Golden State Warriors, right? and then they won on the real King James's birthday and so on. But he wore that Undertaker shirt on 6/12. Undertaker just so happens to live in Austin, Texas. Alex Jones, also from Austin, Texas. I should have said that earlier, but that's why it's important. Alex Jones from Austin, Texas. Undertaker. And if you go back to the Austin bombing, supposedly Mark Henry, a former WWE wrestler, knew one of the victims in the Austin bombing, and his birthday just so happens to be 6/12. Remember 2016 when LeBron wore that Undertaker shirt? It was also the same day as the Orlando Pulse nightclub shooting that happened on 6/12, and Orlando strong equals 6/12, and it was 612 days before the Stoneman Douglas shooting. That was can't remember what it was. Was it at 6 people shot, or I can't remember what it was. Something to do with 6, and it was also in room 12, building 6, room 12, or something like that. And the word Valentine equals 612. The word police equals 612. If you remember, this year we also got Donald Trump visiting Kim Jong-un on the date of 6/12. And this is a really important date because what I talked about with the Royal Rumble is a possible major earthquake coming up. Think about it, the Royal Rumble. And if you go to Revelation in the Bible and you read 6/12, it talks about a great earthquake. And 6/12 is also really important because we got this other pipe bomb that went to the Time Warner Center. And if you remember, on 6/12 of 2018, we got the story about how Time Warner and AT&T, the merger got approved on 6/12. So it's absolutely synced up to a bunch of different things, but if you go from 6/12 to October 24th, it just so happens to be 134 days, which is interesting because Barack Hussein Obama II equals 134. Make America Great Again equals 134. Bill Clinton, his birthday is August 19th. That leaves 134 days in the year. King Charles III equals 134, something I've been talking about a whole lot recently, again, and something I talked about in 2015. Obama's birthday is 8/4, right? August 4th. The word bomb equals 84. Obama equals 84. If you write out 84, it equals 134. So definitely synced up to them guys. Something I pointed out a long time ago, too, was that Barack Obama equals 68, Donald John Trump equals 68, Prince Charles equals 68, Pope Francis equals 68. It's a really important number. What are the odds that all these prominent men in the world equal 68? And then this story comes on the day with leaving 68 days in the year. And the CIA is the one who pushed the negative connotations on the term conspiracy theory, right? CIA equals 68. It was a huge year. Martin Luther King Jr. died in 68. 911 was made the emergency dialing code by AT&T in the year 68, and that was also the year World Trade Center construction began on August 6th, 6/8 or 8/6 of the year 68, right? And then George Bush's birthday was 68 days before 9/11. Now, if you go to the mainstream media today, they're talking about how this guy said that the bombings were going to be worse than 9/11 and whatnot. I know it was in here somewhere, so you'll find it, I swear. He's talking about how it's going to be worse than 9/11. Let me find it, see if I can find it here. It was from earlier, they update a whole bunch of stuff. Well, you can find it. Just type in 9/11 and then type in that guy's name or something. You'll find it. They talked all about 9/11. Anyway, another interesting thing in regards to the greatest Royal Rumble then. So we had the Royal Rumbles that were important to what I was talking about. Like I said, I'll leave some links in the description that explain it a lot better, but the greatest Royal Rumble just so happened to be held in Saudi Arabia this year. And recently we've also got the story about the death of this guy, Jamal, however you say his name, Khashoggi. And, it just syncs up perfectly. We get the story about Saudi Arabia. We had the greatest Royal Rumble that was synced up to the Austin Bomber and whatnot. And look at this guy's name in Satanic Gematria. It just so happens to equal 612. Would you believe it? Jamal Khashoggi, 612 in Satanic Gematria. And something that just sticks out to me in regards to the earthquake stuff, Japan is an area that's prone to earthquakes too. And, the Royal Rumble, the men and the women were both from Japan. And then think about the date of August 6th, right? That's the Hiroshima bomb anniversary as well. So August 6th, just something pointing out in regards to earthquakes, this number 612. Another thing that equals 612 in Sumerian Gematria, let me pull it up here. In Sumerian Gematria, 612, the phrase World War just so happens to equal, well, I thought it did, reverse Sumerian. Reverse Sumerian, it equals 612. So just interesting, another 612 that goes along with it. Think about how we're in the 114th World Series. The Boston Red Sox are in the World Series, and standing during the national anthem became important or popularized in Game 1 of the 1918 World Series that the Red Sox were in just before World War I came to an end. And World War, came to an end on 11/11 at 11. Think about that in regards to 9/11. They hit the 11th state with the buildings that looked like a giant 11, and the first flight was flight AA:11, right? Exactly 11 years to the day after George Bush's NWO speech. Think about all that stuff and how it's synced up to wrestling, the New World Order. George Bush's birthday, guess what it is? 6/12. George H.W. Bush's birthday, 6/12. But also think about Los Angeles being in the World Series, right? Los Angeles, also prone to earthquakes. So definitely something significant with that. Let me go back here. There's so many things that are interrelated. I'm trying to organize this in my brain. So another big piece here then is the Austin Bomber. His name just so happened to be Mark Antony Condit. And we pointed out back then that there was a connection to earthquakes and bridges, and the guy in history named Mark Antony, right? Who was a general of Julius Caesar. And he just so happened to die on 8/1, right? August 1st. Mark Antony, the singer, he sang God Bless America at the 2013 All-Star Game in baseball, which was the year of the Boston bombing, and then the Boston Red Sox went on to win the World Series. Now we have Boston in the World Series after the Austin bombing that even rhymes with Boston bombing. But Mark Antony, his death day was 8/1, and this is a big number important to bridges, right? And that's why the Super Bowl was in Minneapolis this year, because that's where we had the bridge collapse. And I talked about this all year. And then after the Super Bowl on the Ides of March, 3/15, we got that major bridge collapse at Florida International, FIU, which is in southern Florida, right, where we're finding this new guy of these bombings, these package bombings. His name is Caesar, right? His first name is Caesar, so we had a Mark Antony, and now we're getting a Caesar. Just think about that in history, right? But anyway, what was important was his death day was 8/1, and the Minnesota bridge collapse happened on 8/1 of 2007, and it fell 81 feet, and the main trusses were 81 meters long, and it supposedly took him 81 minutes to transport everyone to the hospital. And this year, the Golden Gate Bridge has been open for 81 years, and in Gematria, and frontwards and reverse, whoa, what is going on there? But Golden Gate Bridge, frontwards and reverse equals 135. So And also in Hebrew, I talked about how this is connected to Pope Francis, right? And we also had that bridge collapse in Italy back in August, right? I can't remember the date of that bridge collapse, but we had that major bridge collapse in Italy. Think about where the Pope is from and whatnot. But the word Pope in Hebrew lettering equals 81, and Pope Francis turned 81 years old, 81 days after the Jesuit anniversary last year, and he's the first supposed Jesuit Pope. Even 8 months and 1 day after his birthday is 81818, and it's, think about it, it's the year 2018. Pope Francis, the word pontiff means bridge builder. Interesting, it equals 86 as well, but pontiff means bridge builder. And if you remember, Donald Trump got told by Pope Francis that real Christians build bridges and they don't build walls. And everything about Donald Trump's meeting with Kim Jong-un was all about the bridge symbolism. It even, Barbara Bush even died on the 117th day. The word bridge equals 117. And I'm pretty sure that 417 was also the date that Moon Jae-in, the South Korean leader, met with Kim Jong-un or whatever. 417, and they said they were building bridges and whatnot, right? Also, just thinking about it, I forgot to put in here Saudi Arabia equals 86, just like Julius Caesar. That's why it was important at the beginning of this video, all to do with this number 86. And another thing that's important to the bridge symbolism is, earlier this year I talked a lot about how the 44th mayor of San Francisco, who was Mark Farrell, his 44th birthday just so happened to be on the same day as that FIU bridge collapse, which is also the Ides of March. And his birthday, or the day he became the mayor, was also 4 months and 4 days before the anniversary of the Golden Gate Bridge being opened, and the word earthquake equals 44. But another thing I talked about was how London Breed, who became the next mayor of San Francisco, her birthday is on August 11th, and this is this big day that Zachary K. Hubbard, or Gematria Effect News on YouTube, has been talking about in regards to the Tisha B'Av and whatnot, and the Western Wall and whatnot. And I pointed out a long time ago that this day was her birthday, and it was synced up to the Golden Gate Bridge. And also, it's the same day that Hulk Hogan, Mr. NWO, Hulk Hogan, his birthday is that same day. And in history, if you look up Hulk Hogan, he's connected to Philadelphia. And Philadelphia is really important. That's where Pope Francis ended his trip when he came to the United States. It's mentioned in the Bible as well, and it talks about the key of David. I also, a long time ago, talked about the date of 10/6 and how it was important to Michael Jordan retiring and Kobe Bryant being from Philadelphia and whatnot. But the capital of the country, Jordan, used to be, the capital of the country, Jordan, used to be called Philadelphia until the year 106 AD, and then it was later destroyed by earthquakes. And this is important to a bunch of things. I know it's jumbled up here, but Hulk Hogan, remember, he got his ribs broke by earthquake on the Brother Love show. And then later on at SummerSlam, he came back and got his revenge on Earthquake, and he did it at Philadelphia at the Spectrum, I think it was called. So Hulk Hogan got his revenge on Earthquake in Philadelphia. Hulk Hogan does it he gets his ribs broken by Earthquake on the Brother Love show. Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. It's also synced up to Phi, which is the golden ratio, which is 1.618. And if you go read Revelation 16:18, it also talks about a great earthquake. And that's why I've talked about for years now, the movie Happy Gilmore is foreshadowing the destruction of the Comcast Center in Philadelphia, because he learns how to putt on the earthquake golf course, and the building that falls over has the black cube on the top, just like the Comcast Center in Philadelphia. Also, in regards to Philadelphia, we had Roddy Rowdy Piper die just a day before Ronda Rousey, won her last fight in 34 seconds, and they called her Rowdy Ronda Rousey. And he was on that TV show It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Roddy Piper was. And, just after he died, we got that Bridgewater shooting that was all about shooting up the news people. And think about the movie he's in called They Live, where he shoots up the news people. And he also got in a feud with Stone Cold Steve Austin just before he died as well. And Disturbed, the band who wrote Steve Austin's theme song, the dun 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 dun, Disturbed was the band, they just released a video called The Vengeful One, and if you go watch that video, it mimics They Live, right? They go and shoot up the news people, right? And then we had the Bridgewater thing. So there's a ton of stuff that's connected to everything I was talking about in 2015. And I mean, just look at this here too. Like Michael Jeffrey Jordan equals 888 in Satanic Gematria. Look at Royal Rumble equals. Royal Rumble equals 888 in Jewish, and 527 in Satanic, which is 527 is the day the Golden Gate Bridge opened up. And we also got stuff like Donald J. Trump. Well, it's in Sumerian that equals 888. Let me point it out here. Because anything that equals 148 also equals 888 Donald J. Trump. That's why we recently had Chris Christie back in the news in Texas or whatever. Chris Christie, 888, but he was also under fire for what was called Bridgegate in New Jersey, which is why also we got that story, I'm pretty sure, of the kids dying. I can't remember what it was. There was 6 killed and 12 kids sick or whatever. 6 killed and 12 kids sick in New Jersey. Also, in regards to 888, the reason that Ronda Rousey joined the WWE was because at WrestleMania 31, she joined up with The Rock in his feud against Triple H, right? Think about it. Triple H. H is the 8th letter. 888. And, WrestleMania 31 was in San Francisco. Triple H did the whole Terminator thing because they just released that movie and they even showed a clip of the bus crashing on the Golden Gate Bridge and whatnot. Triple H, 888. And we also just this year had the Best Gate, whatever it was, Best Gate shooting. It was the big shooting against the media, right? The journalists in Maryland. The address was 888 something. Number 888. In Greek isosophy, which is basically gematria within the Greek language or whatever, the word Jesus equals 888. And that's important to the Golden Gate Bridge because in the Old Testament here, we'll talk about Old Testament. Old Testament equals 888, or, which stems back to the Torah and whatnot. But anyway, the Golden Gate is where the Messiah is supposed to return through, right? The Messiah supposedly returns through the Golden Gate. That's why the Golden Gate Bridge is so important. And that's why it was, that's why Golden Gate equals 239 in Jewish Gematria, just like Torah. And that's why Pope Francis visited the White House on 23/9 in the 239th year of the United States. And that's why Donald Trump called out the kneeling during the national anthem on that day. And guess when Francis Scott Key's birthday is? 8/1. Francis Scott Key synced up to the bridge stuff. Also, after Julius Caesar died, his nephew, that his adoptive son, Augustus, equals 888 in Gematria. He became the first ruler of the Roman Empire on 923, right? Or he was born on 923. So it's very significant. Even if you look up Saudi Arabia, I believe. I think it's Saudi Arabia. Look when their kingdom was founded. September 23rd, 1932. Admitted to the United Nations on October 24th. The day that we get all this stuff going on. It's absolutely, all these things are interrelated. I wish I could go on more. There's a whole bunch more I want to talk about. I planned on having this video more organized, but then I just started talking. But there's a lot of really important things that are going on, a lot of interrelated things. Just I have to go to a band gig, so possibly tomorrow night. Oh, I have a band gig tomorrow night too, but I want to make some shorter videos and make them more to the point of each topic that is going on, but they're truly all interrelated. You know, even the Ides of March equals 624, this humongous number that I've been talking about all year. But it also equals 134, just like Barack Obama, just like how all this stuff came 134 days after 612. So, I'll leave some links in the description. I don't have time to keep talking. But yeah, you can search some of this stuff too. I mean, and it makes a lot more sense. I put it together a lot better of why all of this stuff is important. But Austin 316 is also important. 218 is the day that leaves 316 days in the year. Think about Austin 316 in Hebrew. The word the Jesus Christ equals 316. Think about John 316. But anyway, have a good one. Peace.